She slammed the HOA notice onto my front door, her nails digging into the paper like she owned the street. "You can't live here anymore," she screamed, her face red and shaking. I froze for a second, staring at her, wondering if she actually knew what she was doing. "You're insane," I said, my voice low. "This is my house." "Oh, it's your house, huh?" She sneered. "Well, technically it belongs to the HOA, and they say you're breaking the rules." Before I could respond, she yanked out her phone and shouted, "I'm calling the cops." My heart jumped. Kids were playing in the yard. Neighbors were peeking from their windows. I had no time to explain. But then I remembered the small badge tucked under my shirt, my backup plan. Military clearance. Not many knew, but I wasn't just another homeowner. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Go ahead," I said, my eyes locked on hers. "But you better hope they're real cops." Her lips curled into a triumphant smile. "They'll be here in minutes." Minutes felt like hours. I grabbed my phone, started recording, and stepped in front of her like a shield, the kids safely behind me. Every neighbor watching, every second ticking, it felt like a showdown straight out of a movie. And then, she did something nobody expected. She tried to grab my toddler from my arms, yelling, "You can't have him here." I froze, my heart stopped, I didn't move fast enough. But the camera captured everything. Her face, her hands, the chaos. Little did she know this mistake was about to backfire in ways she couldn't imagine. The moment her fingers brushed my son's jacket, I reacted. In a flash, I stepped forward, holding him tight. "Back off," I shouted, my voice louder than I ever thought possible. The neighbors gasped. Some started filming with their phones. Her face twisted with fury. "I'm protecting this neighborhood." "You don't belong here," she yelled. "I belong here because I own it." I snapped, finally letting her hear the truth. "Every inch of this property is mine. You don't get to decide who lives here." Her eyes narrowed. "Proof?" she demanded. I smirked. "Check the county records. Or wait for the real cops, not your fake ones." Her hand shook as she fumbled with her phone. I noticed the hesitation. She wasn't as prepared as she thought. Then the unexpected happened. A black SUV rolled up slowly at the end of the street. Uniformed officers stepped out, badges glinting in the sunlight. My stomach sank for a moment. Were they with her? "Ma'am?" one officer called, his tone calm but firm. "We got a call about a disturbance." She spun, pointing at me. "This man is trespassing." "He's breaking HOA rules." I held up my phone, showing the live recording. "This is trespassing? Or kidnapping?" I asked, letting the footage speak for itself. The officer's eyes darted between her and the screen. And in that heartbeat, I realized something she never expected. Her whole performance was crumbling. But the real shock came next. One of the officers stepped closer to me, leaned in and whispered, "We've heard reports about this HOA before. Looks like you're not alone in this fight." Her jaw dropped. That tiny pause, that flicker of doubt in her eyes. I knew the next move would change everything. The lead officer stepped forward, straightening his uniform. "Ma'am, I need to see your identification. And that HOA notice, it looks unofficial." Her face turned pale. I have the paperwork." "They approved me," she stammered, glancing nervously at the street full of neighbors filming every second. I lowered my phone slightly, letting the tension build. "You mean the fake paperwork you slapped on my door?" I asked, my voice calm but cold. "Funny, the county records say otherwise." The officer took the papers from her trembling hands. He flipped through them, frowning deeper with every page. "These signatures, they don't match anything we have on file. And this seal? It's forged." Her confident, bossy stance cracked. I just wanted to protect the neighborhood." I felt my chest tighten, anger bubbling. "By terrorizing my family?" I asked, nodding toward the kids playing cautiously behind me. "By trying to grab my child?" Suddenly, a neighbor shouted from across the street. "Hey, you've been doing this to half the block. Check your security cameras." The officer glanced at me. "Do you have footage?" I grinned, holding my phone higher. Already streaming it live. Every move she made, her fake cops, her threats captured. Her eyes widened in horror. You can't do that." "Oh, I already did," I said. "And you're about to face real consequences." The twist hit her like a punch. Not only were her fake cops useless, but the entire neighborhood knew. And the officer gave her one final look, cold and sharp. "Ma'am, you're coming with us. You're under investigation for impersonating law enforcement and harassment." The crowd erupted, whispers of shock and excitement buzzing like electricity. And as she was led toward the SUV, the final twist of the moment hit me. One of the officers leaned close and said, "By the way, you're not the only veteran here. That little stunt, it's exactly why the HOA can't touch your property." I smiled. This wasn't over, but the first battle was already won. Her heels clicked frantically on the pavement as she was escorted to the SUV, but her eyes never left me. "You think this is over?" she screamed. "I have connections. You'll regret this." I didn't flinch. "Connections? That's funny because so do I." She froze, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. That doubt was enough for me to push further. "You see, I've spent years in places you couldn't even imagine. I know the law. I know authority. And every inch of this land is mine, legally, officially." Her lip curled. "You're bluffing." I smirked. "Check your phone again. That footage is live. Neighbors are watching. Half of them have called the county themselves. And for someone pretending to enforce rules, you sure forgot who really enforces them." Her face went from rage to panic. She was a puppet, and her strings were tangled. I stepped closer, my tone calm but razor sharp. "You thought fake cops could scare me. You thought threats and HOA letters could make me leave my home. But you forgot one thing." I paused, letting it hang in the air. "I'm not just any homeowner." The street was quiet except for the hum of cameras and murmurs from neighbors. And then from my back pocket I pulled out a small device, a military-grade GPS tracker, proof that my home's perimeter and security were untouchable. I pressed a button. Lights blinked. Cameras streamed. Every angle, every inch of my property was now under my control. She stumbled back, realizing that all her moves, all her threats had been anticipated. You can't do that," she gasped. "Oh, I already did," I said, watching her crumble. "And every illegal thing you tried to pull. It's all recorded." Her eyes darted to the neighbors again. They were nodding, whispering, filming, and for the first time she felt truly exposed. The final blow. One of the officers handed me a folder. "We just got this from the county. Your ownership papers are rock solid, and the HOA complaints, completely fabricated by her. You're in the clear." She went white, and for a moment I almost felt pity. But then she tried one last desperate act. She lunged for my phone, aiming to delete the footage. I caught her wrist in a single precise motion. "Not today," I said, and the crowd gasped. The lesson was clear. She had underestimated me, and now, every secret she had was about to surface. The moment she realized she couldn't delete the footage, her panic turned into full-blown desperation. "This isn't over!" she yelled, shaking, her fake composure gone. "I'll ruin you. You'll pay." I stepped forward, holding my phone steady. "You mean you'll get exposed?" "That's already happening." From across the street, a neighbor raised their phone. "Hey, I just uploaded everything to the community page. Every HOA trick, every fake notice, everything." Her face went pale. She looked around, seeing neighbors whispering, pointing, recording. The tension in the air was electric. Her carefully crafted image of authority was evaporating in front of everyone. Then another twist hit. One of the real officers approached her again, holding a badge of her own fake HOA security detail. Something she had claimed gave her power. "Ma'am," he said, calm but sharp, "you're under arrest for impersonating law enforcement and the tampering with your neighbor's property. That's a separate charge." She staggered, lips quivering. You can't, I have connections." The officer shook his head. "Not today. Not here." Suddenly her phone rang. She fumbled to pick it up and a message flashed across the screen. "All HOA meetings canceled. Investigations starting immediately. You're done." Her scream was a mix of anger and disbelief. The crowd cheered quietly, some clapping, others filming. It was the first time she truly felt powerless. I looked down at my child, safe and smiling despite the chaos. Relief washed over me, but I knew better than to relax completely. Because in the shadows, the HOA queen had one final card up her sleeve. A secret she thought I'd never uncover. And as she was led into the SUV, her eyes locked on mine, burning with fury. "This isn't the last you've seen of me." I smiled. "Oh, I know. But every move you make from now on, I'll be ready." The next morning, the neighborhood was buzzing like electricity. Word spread fast, her fake HOA empire was crumbling and everyone was talking. But I couldn't let my guard down. I knew she wasn't finished. Around noon, she showed up again, this time in a black sedan, dark glasses, pretending to be calm. "We need to talk," she called from the car, smirking. You don't know what I can do. I stepped onto the porch holding my child close. Oh, I think I do, I said, casually tapping my phone. The live feed was already rolling, and so does everyone else. Her eyes flicked to the cameras, then back at me. You're bluffing. I shook my head. Check the news. Her jaw dropped. Overnight, the footage had gone viral. Every fake cop she had called, every illegal notice, every intimidation tactic, broadcast for thousands to see. Comments flooded in. Neighbors sharing screenshots being shared across social media. The empire she had built on fear and fake authority was collapsing in real time. Then the final twist of the day hit. One of the officers approached me privately. We just found something in her records. She's been impersonating officials in multiple states. She has a network, fake HOAs, fake law enforcement, all designed to intimidate homeowners. I felt a chill, but also a surge of resolve. So she's bigger than we thought. Yeah, the officer said. But we have her now, and with this evidence, it's airtight. Meanwhile, she tried one last desperate tactic. She stormed into the street waving a document she claimed would invalidate all your ownership. But I had anticipated this. I stepped forward calmly, opened the document, and smiled. It was another fake. The signatures didn't match. The notary was fraudulent. She was running out of tricks, and fast. Neighbors were watching, murmuring, filming. The crowd shifted from shock to fascination. Even her own allies hesitated, unsure if they could trust her. She turned to me, eyes blazing. You'll regret this. I swear you'll regret this. I held my child, looked at the neighbors, and said softly but firmly, I've already lived through worse, and we're not going anywhere. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not just panic, but real fear. The kind that comes when you realize the underdog isn't just surviving. He's controlling the game. By late afternoon, the HOA queen was desperate. Her fake authority stripped, her network collapsing. She tried one last audacious move, filing a restraining order against me, claiming harassment and illegal surveillance. I chuckled softly. Funny, I said, holding up my phone again, because every second is recorded and time-stamped. Her attorney arrived, shaking slightly, clearly rattled by the viral evidence and the mounting legal proof against her. You can't just, she began, but I cut her off. Actually, we can legally, I said, pulling out the folder the county had sent me earlier. Every ownership document, every prior complaint she had fabricated, every forged signature, all compiled neatly. This proves everything she's done is illegal, and that she's been impersonating law enforcement. The lawyer's mouth fell open. The HOA queen's face twisted in fury and disbelief. You can't. Oh, I already did, I replied, calm, letting the moment sink in. You thought threats and fake cops would work? You underestimated one simple fact. I know the law, and I know how to protect my family. The officers standing nearby nodded. Everything's documented. Every illegal move she made will be on record. You're facing multiple charges. And the restraining order? Denied. Her jaw dropped. The entire street watched in stunned silence. Neighbors whispered and filmed, capturing every moment. Her empire of fear had collapsed completely right in front of them. And then came the final, satisfying twist. One of the officers handed me a printed notice. Effective immediately. HOA enforcement powers suspended pending full investigation. All fake notices and actions by her name null and void. She had tried to terrorize a family, manipulate neighbors, and fabricate authority, but the truth, patience, and law had dismantled her plan entirely. She was escorted away, screaming and flailing while the crowd cheered. My child clutched my hand, looking up at me with wide eyes. I smiled, feeling the weight of the day lift. We're safe. They can't touch us. And as she disappeared from view, one thought lingered. Justice had been served, but the world had watched. Her fall was public, undeniable, and unforgettable. The next morning, the street felt different, lighter, almost electric. Neighbors waved as we stepped outside, some still filming, others smiling, grateful their nightmare neighbor was finally gone. I looked at my child, swinging from the porch railing, safe and laughing. The tension of the past days melted into relief. We did it, I whispered, feeling pride and exhaustion at the same time. But the real victory was deeper than just winning a fight. It was about standing firm, protecting your home, and knowing your rights. About showing that even when someone abuses fake power, truth and law will always prevail. Later, as I watched the news coverage, her name flashed on every local station, exposed for impersonating law enforcement, fabricating HOA notices, and harassing homeowners. The public humiliation was complete, her schemes revealed in full. People commented online, neighbors cheered, and the fear she had spread for years finally turned into accountability. I felt a quiet pride for the military training that had kept me calm under pressure, for the quick thinking that had protected my family, and for the evidence we captured that made justice unavoidable. Sitting on the porch that evening, I held my child close, watching the sunset over the neighborhood we had fought for. "We're free," I said softly. "Safe. And no one can take that from us." It wasn't just a victory over a tyrant. It was a celebration of land, family, and honor. Every twist, every danger, every threat had been met and overcome. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. True strength doesn't come from fear or fake authority. It comes from knowing your rights, protecting your loved ones, and standing tall no matter what. The HOA queen would never return. But the story, the fight, and the lessons would stay with the neighborhood forever. Proof that courage, strategy, and patience can topple even the most entitled villain. And as the cameras of neighbors finally stopped rolling, one thought lingered in my mind. We had survived, exposed the corruption, and defended our home, and nothing, not even a fake queen, could ever take that away.